I like full motion video games. They suck for the most part, but there is something about them that I find very enjoyable. I like playing them with my wife, we switch from time to time when it comes to making decisions, and since these games always ask you to replay them anyway, we can try to reach different endings and it's kind of fun every time. But even when playing on my own, I still enjoy them. Erica is a PlayStation 4 exclusive FMV game. It tells a mysterious story involving a cult, a madhouse, and death. It sounds like the perfect little horror game for me. The issue here is that it is extremely short. I know that these games are always designed with various endings and getting to them requires you to replay and choose differently from the time you did before. I personally have played quite a few such and will most of the time choose to reach one ending or two and then will go and watch the other ones on YouTube since I simply don't want to rewatch mostly the same movie over and over, which can easily take up to 3 hours in some cases. It seems like the creators of Erica wanted to counter this issue by simply making the game super short. How short, you ask? How about half an hour? This does mean that each playthrough isn't very long, but it also means that you will have to rewatch a lot of scenes which you've already seen. The game offers no option to skip the ones you have seen in the past. This is no doubt done so that you don't notice how little is actually being offered here in the first place. I'd say that more than half of those scenes are actually the same every time. Let's say 20 minutes out of the 30 minutes are repetitive scenes. There will be 10 minutes of unique stuff every time at best. The first time around we made some choices and the playthrough was over in less than 30 minutes. I assumed that we cut the experience short because some of our choices were very radical. It was a bit of an intentionate approach. You know how you decide to do something which clearly is not the right thing, but you're too curious to see what the result will be, so you go for it. And yeah, the first playthrough seemed super short, but I assumed it was because of those more extreme choices. That seemed like a plausible explanation. The second was hardly any longer, and neither was the third. Not to mention that all endings and the whole development is very similar every time, no matter how you do things. And the fact that you are given very little time to decide, and sometimes the game introduces unexpected patterns that need to be drawn with the gamepad if you want to select a specific choice, was very annoying. Since it uses the motion sensitivity of the PS4 gamepads, you're required to do specific movements, and you can also use a phone with this game, which does work better, but not by much. Both my wife and I failed to do some gestures within the time limits and were forced into a different outcome from the one we wanted. That's bad design, since it's not even within a moment where there is some kind of justification to demand a fast input. Nobody's chasing you or attacking you. It's a calm moment, yet the game gives you a very short window of time to do a very specific finger motion if you want to select that one option over there. We failed several times. We suck, I know, but still, this just seems unreasonable. On the other end, the only decent acting in this game is from Erica herself, and even she isn't that good. It's just that her role and the fact that she's traumatized from past experiences justifies a more melancholic and passive behavior. So she might actually be a bad actress, for all I know. She just is acting well in this particular role because that one does not require a very emotional response to most things. Everyone else, however, seems rather talentless in any case. At least to me, the acting was overall pretty bad. It gets even worse when one of the choices results in a romantic relationship which is totally out of place on several levels. You know how sometimes you watch a movie and two characters who have absolutely no chemistry and have not shown any attraction to each other before suddenly start making out or something like that? Well, this is the same here. It feels like it was there to check a box, since there had to be a result that leads to a romantic relationship, so they did it. There is pretty much no introduction to this, it just comes out of nowhere. It's so bad. And it's also true that the game's recent price was $10 and it is actually currently reduced to $5, so if you want to buy it, it's ridiculously cheap. However, having a low price tag is not an excuse for being bad in my eyes. And this game is just overall bad. I can definitely look past some issues, but not when they are core ones. It's too short, the acting is bad, the script is terrible, and it feels like a waste of time when you realize that the initial short playthrough is actually the same length as any other. You're rewatching the same super short episode over and over with very little deviation. I like FMV titles, they're a guilty pleasure of mine. I want to see more of them, so I tend to cut some slack to developers who do this kind of stuff. But in the case of Erica, that's just not possible, because once you look past the bad parts, there's nothing left. So do yourself a favor and play something else. Thank you for watching and have a great day.